Hey everyone, Board Game Brody here with Meeple Mountain. I have a prototype copy of the Transcontinental by Wheelhouse Games. The Transcontinental is a worker placement, pickup and delivery bidding train game coming to Kickstarter. It's a medium weight Euro game for 1 to 4 players that plays in 1.5 to 2 hours or so. Here are the 5 things that you should know about this game. Number 1, the theme. It's 1871 and Canada is only 4 years old, and the Prime Minister calls for a massive undertaking, a Transcontinental Railroad, connecting the established eastern provinces with the newly added western province of British Columbia. Success of this project will shape the country's economy, but also help with infrastructure and build an identity. Now it's your turn to help as you play as contractors working to build this railway. In the game, the train will start by heading west to the Trailhead and then back east, and each time that it passes a telegram, those players will take specific actions. You will be expanding the length of the railway, bidding resources to do so, expanding the capacity of the railway, and completing developments to help you along the way. The board connects the theme as you build across the lowlands into the resource-rich Canadian Shield, to the fertile prairies, and then through the breathtaking Rocky Mountain Cordillera. The game ends when the railhead reaches the last spike tile, and each round, if you don't move the railhead at all, the last spike moves 2 spaces to the right, and if the railhead moves only 1 space, then the last spike moves 1 space. If the railhead moves 2 or more, then the last spike will stay put. So either way, the game will either progress or end earlier if no progression on the railway is done, so the game won't overstay its welcome. Number 2. The star of the mechanic of the game is the worker placement. You might look at the board and think, well, there isn't too many places to put your telegram on, so it shouldn't be that great. Well, you're wrong, because if you're placing your telegram down on a space with tiles on each side, then you can take the action from both tiles that the space connects to, on the north and on the south. You will have 3 telegrams per round, which will last you from when the train leaves from the east and also when it comes back from the west. So if you place all 3 telegrams to be triggered by the train when it heads west, then you won't have any to place when the train heads back east. So players will take turns using player turn order to place telegrams. Only one can occupy a space at a time. Once a player passes, they can no longer add telegrams until the train hits the Trailhead tile, at which it will turn around and trigger the remaining telegrams that were added after it hit the Trailhead. Now, when the train does hit the Trailhead, players will secretly bid with their resources to move the Trailhead west. Each resource counts as 1 to the bid, except for the one resource that has the marker pointing to it, and that resource is worth 2 for the bid. After everyone bids, everyone's bids are totaled up, and the Trailhead moves the difference of what the total resources were versus the numbers stated on the side of each space. After moving the railhead, whoever bid the most gets first pick at which tile to take, and so on until there are no more tiles. If you ended up bidding, but there are no tiles left for you, then you get to keep your resources while the others spin theirs to gain the tiles that they won. Now let's go over these worker placement spots. These first 4 spaces will gain you specific resources. You will be able to get the number of resources of that kind shown by the marker. You take this by taking that number of your color of cubes and adding it into the train car that it corresponds with. And this train up here is where the resources go. And I'll explain how it works in a bit, but this will hold everyone's resources, and the placement or the location of your cube determines what that cube represents. Now, if a player does use one of these worker placement areas for resources, then the counter will be moved down, so the next time there is less resources to gain. But if no player puts a telegram on it, then it will go up 1, and more resources will be gained next time when someone takes that action. This next space lets you become first in player order, which is also the tiebreaker in the game. Now, all the other spaces are tiles that you can either work on building by adding resources to until it's complete, or if it is complete and the other side is showing, which is the built side, then you are able to take its action if it's flipped over after being built. But building these are interesting in itself because when you take the action to place resources from your train yard and place them on that building, all other players who have the same resource to the left of where you first used a resource can decide to also add a resource, even if those requirements are already fulfilled. Now, this is important because the top 2 players who contribute the most to building the building gets to use it. If you don't help build it, then you won't be able to use it. Once a tile is built, you'll flip it over, and the top 2 players who helped gets to add a building, signifying that they can use that benefit from here on out when placing a telegram in that space. All of this leads me to number 3, the development tiles. These are like bonus actions that you can take if you help build it and it's flipped over. Some of these developments can help you load more resources, like this produce icon. This icon lets you load any one resource that you would like, and this one here lets you trade 1 or 2 of your resources that you already have on the line for another type of resource that you would like. This is the portage symbol. This will let you be able to unload a resource of your choice from the line or the yard and place it on any development tile, even ones that are in the future. This is the ally symbol, which will let you draw an ally card. You'll be able to use this card on your next turn or any time after. As you can see, these cards give you various bonuses and are one-time use cards that give you the stated bonus. This is the telegram symbol. This action will give you a bonus telegram to be placed on any empty slot on the board right at that time. The development tiles help you build up your own engine in the game and to produce more resources, to build more, and to outbid other players when making it to the trailhead. Number 4, the rail yard, or the place where you're going to store your resources. So you've seen that this is where you have your goods, and you know that when building, players can follow you if they have any of the same resources to the left of the one that you start to use. Now, in addition, if you need to add a resource but there is no car to put it on, you will be able to take one showing the resource type and you will add it to the rail yard. You won't be able to use this resource because it's actually not on your train yet, but there's this cool coal resource mechanic which I won't go into, but it allows you to add additional cars to the line, and each time a car is added on the line, the player scores 2 points plus a point for each resource that is in it. So this coal resource mechanic thing is an additional way to score more points. And all players will need to have more resources in the train on the line. Eventually, through these bonus actions and resupplying each round, you will grow the line to hold more and more resources. Number 5, end of game scoring, because how else are you going to know how to win? So you already have points from bidding your resources to build the track westward. And there are additional ways that you are able to score points. Investment cards is one of them, and they are revealed and are gained throughout the game, as well as each player starts out with one of them. You will need to match buildings on tiles with the matching symbol of these investment cards to score points. Ally cards also have these symbols and can help you count towards the investment. For any additional ally cards not used for investments, you can remove a building matching its symbol for 2 points. And at this point, whoever has the most points wins the game. The game does an excellent job blending all these mechanics together, and truthfully, it was hard to talk about one without talking about the others. But you will be gaining resources that are used to develop buildings to benefit you, and the worker placement spaces get even more interesting at that point because you will be taking advantage of the ones that you can take their actions from while also either building up on the other one on the other side or possibly taking the bonus actions from both sides. The track also gets longer and longer and opens up where you want to use resources to gain the flipped bonus action and where you want to use your already developed bonus actions. All this while trying to contribute enough to get the track further west. Again, these are the 5 things that you should know about this game before you back it, before you play it, or before you even think about it. So get to work on the railway with your family and friends in the Transcontinental by Wheelhouse Games. Again, this is Board Game Brody. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stick around and check out some other board game reviews to see what you might want to get to the table.